I'm Megan Storey.
And I'm Elliott Trahan.
And we're here to talk to you about woodshop. When I'm creating, what's interesting is I didn't actually used to like choreography. And over the years, as I've had to teach more and create combos, I've developed a love for choreography. And so now anytime I hear music, I can just picture the movement that's happening with it or spatial patterns. And so just having all those ideas in my head makes me want to put it out there.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. As a young dancer, I always envisioned the types of dances I would do to my favorite songs. And that kind of stuck with me as I grew up. And now that I'm becoming more established in my dance career and my choreography career, it just feels like music is really driven, as well as just there's an instinct that I think all dancers have, that we want to be artists as well as dancers. We want to kind of do the whole circle of everything involving dance. My process goes a lot of different ways. Sometimes I pull from different music sources before finally switching into something else. I like to use a lot of hip hop sometimes to kind of get some syncopation and rhythm, or sometimes I'll use more classical score if I want something a little more fluid. So really it kind of depends on the dynamic that I go for that dictates where my process is driven. Sometimes it's going in the studio with the dancers. Sometimes it's experimenting on my own body and then bringing that to the room. It kind of depends every year.
Yeah, more recently, my process has been more streamlined. I think now that I've done a lot more choreography, I've kind of figured out a rhythm that works for me. And typically music comes first. I usually visualize a lot of spatial patterns. So I don't really see the movement itself, but I see how the bodies are moving. So I write that all down, and then I come in the room and then I figure out what's the movement that's gonna make that pattern possible. And we just keep going from there. For me, music plays a huge role. I would say that music is probably the number one contributor to most of the choices I make choreographically. So I have a whole, saved playlist on Spotify of a bunch of music I like. Interestingly enough, this particular year for woodshop, I didn't have any music picked out. It just came to me right before I started. But typically I find music, I just listen to it on repeat, and I see the spatial patterns. And as I continue to listen to it, the focus comes, it becomes less blurry. Everything starts to be seen more clearly.
This year for woodshop, I'm using one of my favorite artists' music, which is Bjork. It's something that we've all kind of joked about, that one day I would finally do it. And this just felt like the right year to do it. This is something I usually don't do. I try to keep my favorite artists very sacred, and I try to keep them in their own kind of realm. But I just really was feeling a push. And so sometimes music is there to push and to help kind of drive my process in a different way. So I feel like so far I've really pushed myself in that regard to kind of get over that, the kind of sacred feeling I have towards Bjork in this scenario, and just create. It's been fun. I think this process is so fun to see each other take on the leadership role in dance, and also being the leader, to see them in that light and kind of see the type of energy we can get from them and the inspiration we can drive from them. It definitely also helps find different communication styles, because even though we dance together, we've been dancing together for so long, we all learn a lot of things very differently. So it's very fun to kind of have to adjust in the moment of, I'm not being articulate enough, let me rephrase this. It's always nice to kind of see the way we all learn and figure out the way that I can communicate to you what I need from you, and also vice versa.
Yeah, for me, when I'm working with my coworkers, especially since I came into it sort of not unfamiliar with choreography, but not as confident. So working with the dancers, it keeps me more calm, because I trust what they say and their input, and sometimes working with them gives me ideas that I don't think I normally would have, because I see their bodies move and I start to visualize, oh, this can happen and this can happen. And when I ask questions, I trust their feedback. So it's really given me more confidence as a choreographer, because I've been able to use my fellow dancers as help to push me along that road.
Yeah, we trust each other, and also we have fun with each other. So I think it takes the pressure off of us kind of learning how to be choreographers, learning how to direct a room. There's a little less pressure whenever you're surrounded by your peers and your friends who are able to kind of keep you happy and inspired and motivated to keep going, and will encourage you and will tell you what's working, tell you what's not working. yeah, it's a very helpful and very community-driven process. One of the first woodshop pieces that I created was a duet, and that was back whenever woodshop was mainly on film in 2021, I believe. And so to be able to see that from the studio onto an actual stage in front of an actual audience, and also being able to kind of dictate where the lighting goes and how those types of stage setup goes, like where will they be on stage, and adjusting to a different space. That impact felt like it really gave me real-time experience on the other side, on the technical side, which I feel like we really dig into the choreographic and the creative side. So it was fun to also take the role of like technical and stage director and being able to communicate to the lighting crew and to the tech crew and everyone the types of needs and feelings that I wanted the piece to come across as. I think this process just prepares us for that type of experience and choreographic experience too.
Yeah, the more platforms that you have available to put your choreography on, it just gives you more and more experience to pull from later. So, you know, the first woodshop was on film, so completely different experience than just performing it live in the studio. Performing it live in the studio, a different experience, and then taking it somewhere else, putting it on a different stage, in a different setting, another experience entirely. So it just keeps adding to your Rolodex of experiences you've had and things that you can use for later. And, you know, that has a large impact on you as a choreographer because you start to get more confidence as you go along that you can handle and tackle any problems in any setting that you're put in. Over the years, I think I've tried each year to, I guess, tackle a different element of a work. So for instance, the very first piece I did was a full ensemble. It was really like hard-hitting, very powerful, stirring music. And then the next year I went a totally different direction. I did an all-male piece with 5 men to a really upbeat song. It was very funny and a little more humor involved. I expanded upon that the next year. And then last year was a contemporary piece with 7 dancers, a little more melancholy, a little more, I still had powerful elements, but just a slightly different direction each time. And with that, my process has evolved. I think the first year I was way less confident in what I produced. So I came in super ready every time. And now I'm a little more free form, I guess. I come in and just say, let's just try this. And I'm okay saying, that's not it. That's not going to work. Versus before, I think I took that even more personally against myself. So it's definitely been a growth process. So this year, my piece is 10 dancers, and I'm actually doing a little suite of all Edith Piaf music. So it's a little more whimsical, has a lot of partnering, a lot of relational things, and it's going to be a bit more fun, and then also, you know, sweet and sentimental.
Whenever I first choreographed for woodshop, I did a duet. The next year, I did a group piece with 7 dancers that was a little more hip-hop inspired. The year after that, I did more of a jazzy, kind of fun, sensual, more partner-driven dance with 10. And this year, I'm using 12. So every year, I think I've evolved by just being more confident to add more people into the room and into my process as a way of not only pushing myself, but also having the confidence to know that I can lead the room and I can take control, and what I see in my head will be translated. I usually do some things a little more on the fun side, a little more driven by musicality and rhythm and hip hop in a way. And this year, I'm choreographing to Bjork, and her music is very soft and powerful and impactful, while also having all of these different edges and fluidity. So I'm really challenging myself with texture and with dynamic. And I think that the more we participate in woodshop and the more we choreograph, the more we're able to take those sorts of risks, because we're able to see year after year how they pay off and how we can accomplish all of them.
Go now and get your tickets for woodshop. They're going to sell out. They sell out every year. It's very limited seating, so you want to go right now and get them.
Go to brucewooddance.org for more information, and we hope to see you here on February 21st, 22nd, and 23rd for woodshop.